Okay. Good afternoon. This is Rosemary, and this is the Lightwalker's Path. And it's a place to find your soul's purpose, hear enlightening conversation, and meet fascinating guests like today's guest, Delisa Hawking, psychic visionary, predictor of world events, fifth generation psychic, helping people understand their intuition and self worth through energy mastery, tarot, mediumship, and more. And I'm really excited to talk to you today. How are you doing, Delisa?
Rosemary, we've got a lot of overlap, I think, in how we get information, and it's going to be a great conversation today. So thanks for having me on the show.
I'm so excited to speak with you. I know that you do a lot of mediumship work, and I do a lot of like angelic channeling. And I know they're similar, but they're quite different too. So I'd like you to just like explain to people who are not familiar with like what mediumship is, what that is to you, and how you've learned to tap into that energy field.
Yes, and I think it's a great insight that you're leading off with because channeling angelic frequency and doing mediumship, it does have a lot of similarities, but they feel different. So
Mhm.
I channel archangel energy and do different guided activations and healings and things like that. And so that versus talking to somebody that's passed away or an animal that's on the other side, mediumship can feel heavier.
Mhm.
I think angelic frequency is really high frequency.
Mhm. Yeah.
And for me, I find it really easy and beautiful to work with.
Mhm.
Whereas mediumship, I've really kind of had to take a step back from one-on-one mediumship because
Mhm.
it's so
Heavy.
exhausting. It's so
Yeah.
heavy.
Yes.
Um, so anytime I do mediumship now, it's usually someone kind of we all know that have, a
Mhm.
celebrity of some kind that's passed away. People usually find those pretty fascinating, and it does demonstrate mediumship, and people seem to
Mhm.
enjoy getting a taste of what that looks like. But yeah, we can all do mediumship. We all can. We can all get messages from the other side. But I have to say, mediumship is such a high frequency, which kind of
Mhm.
sounds strange and counterintuitive because I was just talking about how heavy it
Mhm.
feels.
Mhm.
Have to get so high up in the scale of frequency to be able to even communicate with people that have passed away, for example. Um, and to get that high, it's almost like when you come back down, like the body just feels like a brick.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but we can all receive guidance and signs from our loved
Mhm.
ones. But I think one of the things that people may not realize, because I get this question a lot of, well, how come I can't get a message from my loved ones? How come they've never showed up? How come I don't hear anything from them? I think when we set the intention that we invite them in, we ask for a sign and we get the heck out of the way and we release
Mhm.
expectations. I think the more likely we are to receive some kind of sign from them, you'll
Mhm.
know it intuitively. You'll feel it. You'll know
Yes.
that it's from
Yes.
them. And I think grief can also create kind of a roadblock between us and getting message from the other side, only because grief in itself is a lower
Heavy.
frequency.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if we're
Yeah.
in an active state of grief or we're trying to work through emotions surrounding somebody that's passed away, which I totally get, and you should do that, that might be why you aren't
Mhm.
quite experiencing it yet. But once you move through grief and get over to the other side of that, and you're feeling better and lighter about them being now on the other
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
I think you're going to get more information from them and signs from them at that point.
Absolutely. You know, a couple of things like my father, I don't consider myself a medium, but I've always been able to, like, if one of my relatives crossed over, I dream of them and they'd give me a message. Or like with my dad, I mean, I was getting communication with him for a year after, like, and it was proven by what mom was going through. Like, he knew stuff and I tell her, but it's not like what I do because I know people that are great mediums like you. And when someone comes to me and says, I want a mediumship reading, I'm like, okay, I send them to a medium because my area is the angels. But I know what you mean about the vibration, about how it feels. I know that at times when I've worked on people, even doing Reiki, after my father passed, sometimes a relative will stop in to give me a message for the person on the table. And I've had unusual things where someone is so insistent, they're like, just tell them I'm here. I'm like, okay, ready, I'll say something. but I'm not well practiced enough in that to say that that's part of what I do at all, and I don't want to. I save that for people that are doing like what you're doing because you are well practiced and that's what you're doing. So, okay, other question. I've had people say to me they want to learn mediumship, and I always say go to people that you have a good vibration with that you can trust. Don't just like poke around and sit in a graveyard and talk to dead people because you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to bring a relative home or someone that's in that graveyard that shouldn't be there. And you have to learn the proper protocol of your boundaries. So can you speak on the boundaries or at least even the intention that people set when they decide that this is their thing and they want to do mediumship work? Like how
Yeah,
do you do that for you?
yeah. So I developed actually a Mediumship 101 class because I had so many people coming to me asking,
Hmm.
how do I do this?
Hmm.
And it's not always the person that wants to do it professionally.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I just feel like I have this gift and I'm trying to
Uh,
explore it. Some people are like, I want to talk to this person that's passed away
yes.
and I want to know how to do it. So that class is like the
Yes.
beginner spot to
Love
lean into
that.
that. Yeah. And a lot of it really is going back to what we were saying a moment ago is about frequency and how to get your frequency high enough in order to
Yeah.
get that information and what to do
Yes.
in your day-to-day life in order to uh, switch that vibration that you hold into that higher octave.
Hmm.
But boundaries, you mentioned that. It's really key here. I think a lot of people have this misconception that we only can receive the information. And in actuality, it's a two-way street.
Hmm.
So we can get a piece of information and we can say something back to them and have a
Hmm.
conversation and then receive something back from them. And then we say
Hmm.
something and it goes back and forth, back and forth. It's like having a telephone conversation,
Hmm.
except they're living in a different dimension
That's
frequency
right.
than we are. And having those boundaries in place of when you will have those conversations is important because they will come and they will
Hmm.
wake you up in the middle of the night or they'll,
Anytime. Yes.
yes, anytime, any day. They're like, oh my gosh, Rosemary's got her antenna turned on.
Oh
We're gonna
yeah.
go and bombard her with everything just like they do with me, unless you
Yes.
have that boundary.
I learned
And
that
so
right away.
yeah. So you can have that boundary in place to say, come and bring messages to me between 9 a.m.
That's
and
it.
5 p.m., Monday through Friday, whatever your boundary is, but also just
Absolutely.
recognizing that you can ask questions back. So let's say you get a sign one day and you don't know what the heck that sign is,
Hmm.
but you feel intuitively like it's a message for yourself.
Hmm.
Ask them. Say,
Yeah.
message received, but I'm not quite sure what you're saying here. Can you
Yes.
show it to me a different way? Can you bring this message to me a different way?
Yes.
So
Yes.
just get in the practice of playing telephone with
Right.
spirit.
And it's interesting you say that because it's the same thing when I channel. When I started back in 1993, at first I'm like, well, I don't know if it's polite to ask. And then they're like, no, ask and you shall receive. So I learned how to rephrase a question and ask. And then they like, send me all the information I needed. But I had to develop how to ask when there was something I didn't get. And it's really interesting because it's the same process that you're saying with people on the other side. I also learned, and this is something that I've learned from other mediums that have told me this, when someone first passes over, they need that time to heal. So if you try to communicate with them right away, some souls need that time, and you need that time in order to be able to connect clearly with them. So if a client comes to you, do you have a certain like time limit that you say to them, well, can you wait a while, or I can do this at such time, or is it just on when the client wants the reading or the connection?
Yeah, great question. My general rule of thumb is come to me when you're not so deeply connected to who has to come through and what they have
Yes,
to say.
yes. Okay,
Because
good.
if you're coming to me and you're like, I need to hear from this specific person and
Right.
I'm only going to know it's true if they use the
Oh
secret
my,
password, you are literally like setting
yes,
yourself up for failure
yes.
and there's no point in coming to a medium.
That's right.
I think it's best to come when you are open to who comes through and what they want to share with you. Otherwise, I would just say practice it on your own, do it at home, take the Mediumship 101 class, and just learn to receive the signs on your own. I think your
Absolutely.
money is much better spent there than
Yes,
trying
when
to
you're
test a
ready.
medium.
Oh
Whether it's me
yeah,
or somebody else. I just
definitely.
save your money, save your energy going to a session and just, learn
Yes.
how to do it yourself. But sometimes there's a waiting period and sometimes there's not for when
Mhm.
the spirit can come through.
Right, right.
I think it really depends, and you hit right on it, Rosemary. If they have something that they're trying to heal on the other side that maybe they didn't heal while they
Hmm.
were here,
Hmm.
maybe it's somebody. I'm thinking of an example from years ago. There was a spirit that had come through of a father and his son. I actually was talking to a man and a woman who were married, and I was talking more to the woman, and then the man's father steps in, and the father wanted to apologize to his son about how abusive he had been. And it
Mm.
was a mixed reaction of like what,
Okay.
the person was thinking about the father stepping in.
Right.
Um, but I felt like that spirit needed some time to do
Hmm.
reflection on the other side and realize what
Yeah.
they had done while they were
Yes.
here, and
Yes.
want to come forward and apologize. But another example that comes through, I had a woman, this was many, many years ago. She came to me. I'd never seen her before in my life, didn't know anything about her. She sits down and she says, "Oh, I found you on Instagram." I said, "Oh, cool." So I start like tuning into the energy, and I start seeing a man who's helping other people that have been shot. And
Okay.
all these different like imagery starts coming in. And I have chills even as I'm saying this all these years later. And I'm
Mm.
describing this. Turns out she had come to me that day, a couple of days before her friend was shot and killed in the mass shooting in Las Vegas, where everybody did
Oh
the country
God.
western concert.
Oh
And he came through, and it was just a couple of days later,
wow.
and he wanted to let her know that he was shot while he was helping people at the concert. That
Oh,
and he had this
oh, oh, I'm
military
getting chills.
background, and
Beautiful.
so
Oh,
yeah, so that was something I will never forget, and I cried
yeah,
all the way home.
I bet.
But yeah, so they can come in right away in some instances. Sometimes it takes them a while, but I would say it just depends on the person and what they are
Mhm.
ready to receive.
That's awesome. I know my dad immediately the next night he did for me. And he, left me a penny actually by the bed, a beat up penny, because I asked why'd you cross over? A beat up penny, you know. But yeah, we had great conversations, my dad and I, and we still do occasionally. But now he's been gone for several years, so now it's an occasional dream where he'll show up. But before it was constant. I had even him where he grabbed my hand and shook it, and he told me to tell my sister a message because she was crying over him, and she says, "Just tell her to stop crying about me. I'm fine." She's going. And I told her, and that day she was actually crying over dad, and she was really having a hard time with his loss. So yeah, it was really cool. But I think because he was such a high, loving vibrational soul that he was able to come through so fast, which was a beautiful gift. The other question I have too, and this is something that I have my view of it, and I'm just going to ask you yours. So I know that there's spirits that have crossed over, and there are some that either moved away from the light or we're so stuck on something here that they don't completely cross over. And we might know them as ghosts or whatever. What is your theory of or your idea of these low vibration spirits that are here that have not crossed over? Like what would you tell someone that let's say has something in their house or they don't know what to do about it?
Yeah, a lot of people actually that have spirits in their house have some kind of portal that's open. And
Mm,
so if you have some kind of activity in your home, it might not even be your physical house. It could be the land that your
the
house is
land,
on.
yes, yep, yep.
Yeah, and I like calling an Archangel Michael and
I do
asking
that.
him to
Yeah.
close the portal
I did
and
that in
close.
my bedroom. Like you're saying, when I moved in here, there was a portal and I had to close it, and I used Archangel Michael and the candles, and yeah,
Yep,
that's
yep. So
cool.
ask him to close it. It should stop the highway of
Mhm.
energies going in and out of your house and the spirits going in and out. Some spirits in your house can be from people that did live there that maybe
Yes.
passed away or they feel connected to that.
Connected. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't die there, but they just felt deeply connected to that space. And so they can come back in there and spend time there.
Mhm.
You can also send them away if they're bothering you. And Archangel
Mhm.
Michael would be the one that I would say just redirect them up to
Yes.
the light.
Yes. Yeah. That
Um,
way.
yeah, I've had a couple of other experiences that come to mind that aren't related to homes and why the energy was stuck there. So, one was I used to have a stage show, a live psychic stage show in Las Vegas, and it took place
Okay.
at a haunted hotel.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, there was a room in the hotel, like it's almost like an attic space. And I went up there and it was like, you talk about a highway and a portal. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And it was all
Wow.
these spirits that had gathered in there. And the strange thing is most of them did not want to move to the light. They were
Yeah.
very comfortable staying there. They liked the other energies they were around. So I gave them the option because I can move you to the light. And
Yep.
most of them were like, get lost. We want to stay
Yeah.
here. So I think there was some comfort, comfort there, and they liked that space. Another example that comes to mind is sometimes when somebody dies and they don't either realize they died or they don't know how
Mm,
they died and they have confusion around it,
yeah.
sometimes they can hang around where they passed away until somebody helps them.
Yes.
So there was a man who had died. This was a couple of years ago inside of a casino. And he was murdered, and the person killed him kind of just out of the blue, a
Yeah.
random act of violence. And I could feel the man's energy inside of the casino, and he hadn't moved on yet.
Oh.
So I was standing in the casino, and the spirit approaches me and says, "What happened? I don't understand." So he was very confused. I told him what had happened. I opened up a portal of white light. His loved ones, friends and family came down. Archangel Michael was there. Big, like, burst of light in the casino that I could see. And as soon as this man understood what happened and he saw his friends and family that had passed over
Oh.
come down through the light, it was like a bolt of
Yes.
lightning. And he went up into the light
That's
and
awesome.
never went back. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I'm going to ask you, when do you think your gifts began to open? Were you a child that saw things? Do you have just high intuition, or is it something that you developed later in life, or was it something that happened that made this open for you to a greater degree? Because I
Yeah.
was a
I was,
school teacher. That's why I'm asking you, because I taught a lot of kids, and a lot of them were very gifted little people. So I was just curious
yeah.
for you.
This was not my life plans. I owned a very different company a decade ago, which was I was a dating coach and a matchmaker,
Oh,
and
love that.
I hosted dating events in different places around the United States.
Hmm.
So yeah, it all actually came in overnight. As a child, I was very interested in all of it. I'm fifth generation. It's on my dad's
Yes,
side of the
yes.
family. My
Huh.
grandmother and I would talk about things, her premonition. She could see full body apparitions with her physical
Wow.
eyes going
Yeah.
through her home. And her grandmother could do the same. But it wasn't until the summer of 2015. I was always interested in all this stuff because of my family, but I had decided very last minute to go to the Omega Institute
Oh,
in
I
New
love
York.
Omega. I love Omega. I've been there. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And Dr. Eben Alexander had a like a retreat, a weekend retreat on the study of synchronicity. And
Oh, I
he
love
had brought
that.
together these like incredible teachers. And it was the last night of that trip that I was staying at a friend's house who lived near where the Omega
Yeah.
Institute
Yeah.
campus is. And I knew him from a work project. I didn't know his family at all. And I go over to his house, we're catching up. And this is where, I was a dating coach and a matchmaker. He had been the one that designed the logo for my company. I pull out to his house in the middle of the woods and I hear him yell out, Delisa, there's a frog on the doorstep. So as soon as I pull in, and he's the person that had designed my logo, which was this big old frog. So I was like, there's something here about Peter's
Yeah.
house that's a little
Yeah.
bit different. So anyway, the night goes on and he gets a phone call from a family member, and they had unfortunately called to tell him that his Aunt Barbara had died unexpectedly that day. She had fallen down a flight of stairs.
Oh gosh.
So of course, I give him my condolences. He goes up stairs to his bedroom. I go off to the guest bedroom. I don't really think anything else of it because I don't know
Yeah,
his
you don't know
aunt. I
Barbara.
don't know anybody in his family.
Yeah.
And that night, while I was sleeping in the astral dream state, Aunt Barbara, who I never met, came through and said telepathically, her mouth did not move.
Hmm.
She said, I need you to tell my nephew I'm okay. I made it to the other side. And I could see her
Oh, I
hair,
love
facial
that.
features. Next morning, I deliver the message. Peter looks at me and goes, what did she look like? And I describe
Dark
her.
hair.
Yes. And he's like,
Same.
that's her.
Yeah.
So a couple of days later, I'd flown back home that day. My mind is just like reeling over what happened. And he sent me a text message, a photo from the memorial service
Oh,
of
wow.
Aunt Barbara on display. And it was exactly as she had
That's
looked just a few
awesome.
nights before. So that's how it all started. Then I was like, if
Yeah.
Aunt Barbara, who I don't know, can come through, what else is trying to
Yeah.
happen here? So
Yeah.
then I started practicing with channeling and using cards and things like that.
Hmm.
And it was just, it
Yeah.
was off to the races. So that was in 2015.
That's beautiful. But I think it's funny. I believe that we all come in with a blueprint and a plan. So I know that you probably wrote in your blueprint, when I'm this time at this age, I want to start opening this gift, but something has to happen to make me open that gift at that time in my life. Like because things happen. Like when I started channeling, I was a school teacher, so I did 32 years teaching kids, and I was taking a master's degree back years ago in stress management. What happened was I started seeing auras around people. We had a silent day and I started seeing auras. So I came home, I said a prayer, and I said, God, what am I supposed to be doing? And all of a sudden, the Archangel Uriel steps behind me and the fire goes through down my feet. And I started getting an angel message. And that was back in 93. Of course, then I hid it for a while, but yeah, so it's been funny, but like they set me up. It's if you want me to do this, it's got to be very obvious, or else I'm not going to know that that's what you want me to do. But
Absolutely.
pretty
And
real, you know?
my astrology chart, any astrologer that ever looks at it is like, wow, you're really psychic,
Yeah.
because of the way it's all configured and what planets are
Yes.
talking to what and in what signs. And yeah, an example is that is I have Sun conjunct Neptune.
Okay.
And because they're so conjunct and so tight, I often like see through the haze and like
Yeah.
see through like the Alice in Wonderland kind of
Yes. Yes.
doors. And then my moon is in Pisces in the 10th house,
Oh
which is
yeah,
very
Pisces.
like dreamy, but it
Yeah.
squares a lot of things in my chart. So I have a lot of activations
Yes.
that
That's
allow
super
me to
cool.
see. Yeah.
What's your birth sign?
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius sun.
Okay.
And then Neptune and Sag, and then I'm a Gemini rising.
Oh, I love Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah, and then a Pisces moon. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a Libra, but I have strong Sagittarius.
Ah,
And apparently, when I had my chart done, it's like everything was on the top and it all dumps into one spot on Mercury, which is supposed to be like the activator. So I thought that's cool because it kind of is who I am. I do so many different things and I'm very fired up when I get an idea.
and
So
that
it's pretty cool.
channeling is very mercurial.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's something that it always just amazes me what comes through, when you're getting information and then someone verifies it. I don't know what happened the other day. I was doing something or other for a reading for someone, and information came through about I don't know name of a boat and that a relative died on, and I actually looked it up after, and the name of the boat and the person's name showed up. I'm like, that's weird, but it was like a past life connection. So a lot of stuff comes out you don't even know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like playing Pictionary. That's what I always say. Like you don't
Yeah,
know what word, what symbol, what feeling is going to come through, but I've learned spirit never wastes a message, and so if it's
yeah,
coming through, it's meant to be said out loud.
yeah. And I think it's interesting because I know that, at times I've gotten a lot of information. Like if someone passed and in the family, I would get a dream about that person. They'd give me a message for someone in their family. So I've gotten a lot of that kind of thing, but I never did it for people like consciously. It just sort of happened, and I'd say, "Hey, listen, your aunt came to me, or your mother came to me," and I'd give a message. So that was really nice. But it's like I don't want to do that for my job. I did like because it's hard to do. You've got to be able to separate yourself from someone's grief, and that's hard. I'm an empath too, so you have to have that kind of buffer.
Yeah, I remember going back to the mediumship thing we were talking about earlier, because I would feel so worn out afterwards. I remember early on, I would stop at Arby's on the way home from doing
Oh, to
mediumship
ground
work.
yourself. Yeah.
I would get like the biggest roast beef sandwiches I could
Yes.
buy to
Yes.
eat
For
them.
grounding.
Yes, it helped me like come back into my body. It wasn't until later I realized like why I was craving roast
Yeah.
beef sandwiches.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting how energy works.
So, what are some of your practices for yourself for clearing now? Like, I know when I'm done working with a client, I ask that if anything is attached to me knowingly or unknowingly, I send it to the light with love. And, I kind of like check in my body. But what do you do for yourself? Like, after you work with a client, do you have a certain protocol for yourself for clearing, or do you just simply ground yourself and allow things to dissipate?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think one is the grounding, but another one is I'll take a hand and brush myself off
Yeah,
and do the
yeah.
brushing and get behind
Question.
the head and
Especially
behind the neck.
here,
And
right?
yes,
The
oh
sacred
yeah.
cross.
Oh yeah. There's so much that gets stuck in that back neck area.
Yes.
Interestingly, I don't know if it's interesting. I think it is. Whenever I see an entity in someone, which is some kind of darker energy, it's usually
Oh,
right there in the back.
oh
And
yeah.
I remember like over the
Brainstem.
years sitting like across from them and having a conversation, seeing like this entity energy like coming
Oh,
out behind the neck and in the back
well, that's
area.
freaky,
So
isn't it? Yeah.
yes. And so if anybody feels like there could be, something in
Yes,
there, call on Archangel Michael, ask him to clear it would be my suggestion. I like tuning forks and sound bowls
I
and
do.
have the sound clear
Yes,
the energy as well. And that's an easy thing that anybody can do is like put on
yes.
a sound bowl, either on YouTube or I like the Insight Timer app
I love
and
Insight Timer.
yeah,
Yes,
play it and just
yes.
set the intention that you're clearing your energy. But I've noticed a theme with entities, going back to that for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
that most of the time I see an entity in someone, it is attached to some kind of addiction
I know that.
and
Oh, I
they're
know
living
that.
in that
Yeah,
body and
they
hosting off of that
are.
person.
They are. They're feeding off of it. They're siphoning. And I've seen it. I've even seen death masks on people. Like it almost
Wow.
looked like a skull in front of the face. And or a gray smudge, like that's depression shows up as a gray smudge. And at times I've seen weird things. I remember one time I was working and there was a bunch of people around, and this woman, I saw her in chainmail, and I saw her impaled in the back of with a sword, like right through the body. And it was like so freaky because normally I wouldn't have seen that, but I was just kind of relaxed and I was looking around and I saw it. And it matched the person's personality quite a bit with how she was angry and just hasn't healed that from a past time. But yeah, that's oof, yeah. Yeah. Do you use oils too? Like I use frankincense when I'm doing any kind of like reading in public or anything like that. I put frankincense here on the sacred cross, on my temples, and on my crown if I'm going to be in a public place. So
Yeah,
to help.
frankincense is really good for, I have seen in raising frequency.
Yeah.
The other one, I was actually told this years ago that myrrh, the oil
Yes.
myrrh, is
Myrrh.
really good for mediumship. So if I know I'm going in to do some heavy lifting with mediumship, I
Yeah.
usually put myrrh actually in the same
Myrrh.
locations you just
Yeah.
showed.
Yep.
And that really helps to kind of cut through the energy a
Yes.
little bit easier and
They
lift
can't
it
get
up
in.
easier.
Yeah. Palo
Yeah, but
Santo is
myrrh.
another good
Mhm.
one. Palo Santo is in the
Oh yeah.
frankincense family. So those are my frankincense first, Palo Santo, and then sometimes I'll use rose oil because that's got a very high vibration just to bring in
Mhm.
the energy of angels and a lighter energy. But I love doing that. And I love the sound bowls. One of my friends is a sound healer and we used to pair up and do sound and Reiki together. She'd do the bowls, I'd do Reiki. It was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, oils are one of the quickest tools I think we can use to get higher into the frequency. So
Hmm.
if you are somebody listening to this that you want
Yes.
to have more
Yes.
intuition or you want to connect more with your loved ones in spirit, maybe some putting on, high frequency oils. I agree about rose. Rose is one of the highest
Hmm.
vibrations you can put on your body.
Hmm.
So I would use rose, especially if you're like, I want to become more psychic. Maybe put it on
Yeah.
the third eye or put it
Third
on the
eye.
throat
Yeah.
so that you're
Here.
bringing it out.
Oh, I've got a question for you because this happens to me and it's happened in the past. So I know that like when I'm sleeping or in a really relaxed state. I have hypnagogia where, you can see stuff at night sometimes. Okay. Every once in a while, I'll get a vibration running through my throat and somebody will say, hello. And I'm like, okay, who's here? That's when I start putting my oils on. But it's strange. Like I'm not afraid of it, but it goes right through the voice box. It's like something ran through my voice box. What is that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're picking up on an energy of someone who's there saying hello or
Yeah, yeah.
providing a message. Mine doesn't go through my throat, but I will hear it audibly with my ear. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and that's clear,
That
clear
audience.
audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are psychic abilities. But I would pay attention. The other thing that I've had happen to me, this has happened twice in two different places I've lived in. So I know it's not just a location
Hmm.
I'm at, is it'll wake me up and it will feel like almost like there's a magnet on top of my home. And I get like this feeling of being kind of sucked up.
Yeah.
So it feels almost like there's some kind of craft
Uh-huh.
above the house or some kind of,
Like
I don't know
consciousness.
if it's
Yeah.
something that's like floating around in the sky or flying around that
Yeah.
I am
Yes.
sensitive to. But notice that. Notice if your body feels a certain way while you're sleeping
Hmm.
or it wakes you up or if you
Hmm.
hear something like, because a lot of us have our guard down when we're sleeping.
Oh, yes.
And so spirits and messages can come through pretty easily in the dream state or when
Yeah.
we're asleep.
Yeah, that's why I always say prayers before bed.
Yeah.
I think that's why we do that. When I first moved in my house, I'm in a really old house. It's like 200 and something years old. And when I first moved in, and this was very, very beginning, like the first week, I heard music, but from the 1930s coming from the bedroom. And I saw, like in my mind's eye, a soldier. So, I saged, of course, I saged my house and everything and sealed it. But I had odd things, happen until I did that. I also had a spirit come through the wall of my bedroom where the portal was when I moved in. And it was a little person and it tipped its hat and it said, welcome to my land. And I know it was a guardian of the land. But then I'm like, I got to figure out what I'm doing here. So I called my girlfriend up. She was telling me to, sage my house and seal the room because I didn't want random things coming in. But yeah, so it's
Yeah.
unusual.
You bring up a good point. I made a video about this probably a month or two ago. And a lot of people have commented saying they're having the same thing happen to them, which is you mentioned hearing the radio.
Mm-hmm.
What I have felt these last couple of months, which I don't remember ever happening before this,
Mm-hmm.
is that I will be sitting at home and I will hear what sounds like a radio frequency or like I'm listening to some kind of radio channel, but that there's no radio on, there's no noise. And I'm just
Mm.
catching like almost like it's off in the distance a bit. And
Yeah.
so I posted about it, made a little video, and all these people are saying, oh my gosh, I'm having the same thing happen to
Yeah.
me. So I think we're becoming more
I
sensitive
think so too.
to noises and to
Tuning.
energy that we've
Yeah.
never had to this degree before.
I think we're being tuned. Before I started channeling, I kept getting dreams of a radio being tuned up, and they were showing me
Mhm.
they're tuning my frequencies. And then I had the people posted around, like the angels, and they were hitting tuning forks around me, and my body would like lift, and I'd see that, and just all kinds of crazy, crazy things that were pretty cool that happened before I started channeling. And I think
Yeah.
that's a process that if you're open to it and it doesn't frighten you, these different things you'll be more aware of. The sounds, the smells. The other thing I notice too, when the angels come in, it gets smells. I'll get cinnamon or rose or some other very strong floral scent when they're around. And I don't know if you experience that, but that's pretty fun.
I generally don't have a sense of smell in my human body, but
Hmm.
I have had a profound experience happen with scent.
Okay.
And it's profound for me because I don't really smell much of anything. So early on, when I first started doing readings, somebody booked me to come to their house and do a group reading.
Hmm.
And I was driving across town. This was in Las Vegas. And I said, okay, Spirit, give me a message for this group because I want to
Uh-huh.
go in with something.
Yeah.
I don't want to just
Yeah.
show up empty
Yeah.
handed.
Yeah.
Like, give me
Give
something.
me something.
And I started like seeing in my mind's eye popcorn. I started hearing the word popcorn.
Uh,
Thought, oh my God, no, this is gonna be terrible. Like, who goes into a room full of people
popcorn.
saying
Yeah.
popcorn? Then in my car, as I'm driving, I start smelling popcorn in my
Oh,
car. And I was like,
wow.
all right, fine,
Yeah.
So I get there and I'm introducing myself and I said, listen, I got a message on the way here. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Here it goes. So I saw it, I heard it, I smelled popcorn. As soon as I said that, I could feel a cat in spirit that had died brush up against my leg. These
Oh,
two women start crying. And I thought,
oh
oh
my
my God,
God.
this actually did mean something because spirit never wastes a
Yes.
message. And so um, they were sisters. I didn't know them. And the one sister, she had been at her house making popcorn with her popcorn machine with her husband one night. The popcorn machine lit on fire and burned their house down and killed their cat.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So
Yes.
that took
That
away
just
any
did it.
doubt about
Yes.
like that information is it's
I love
accurate
that.
and if it comes through, even
Yes.
if it's the most like ridiculous thing,
Yes.
spirit doesn't waste an opportunity to bring forward a piece of information. So
That's absolutely
even
true.
if we don't understand it in that moment, there is a message there. And so it's up to us to get
Yes.
to know and have our relationships with our guides and angels, and so that we can
Yes.
better understand what they're showing us.
I love that. So I know that you've done some predictions, global events and such. And I know, like for me, I had a couple different weird things with, like before this storm hit several years ago, I saw the tip of New Jersey covered in water, and I saw like the Ferris wheel underwater. And actually, a week later, we had this huge storm, and that was the picture they showed on the news. And I'm like, okay, that's what I was dreaming. So I know that you've done a lot of things like that for global events. Are there any that you have released in public or that you want to share? You don't have to unless you feel called to. But is there any that you are willing to share or would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think what I would like to say about the predictions, because a lot of what I am shown are really, frankly, kind of the heavier
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And probably because it has such an emotional imprint
Does.
associated with it, so we
Yes.
can
Yes.
see it and feel it more. Um, and so I mean, you could kind of think of any system in your life, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, education,
Mm-hmm.
housing, like think about it and know that it's either going to go through a drastic negotiation into something new, or it's going to completely dismantle and
Yes.
we're going to be forced to build something new out of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that we chose to be here alive right now because of how much we're going to see that is going to completely shift. I
Yes.
think even in the next few years, even like 3, 5, 7 years, things about our day-to-day life that we see today is it's not going to be the same. I
Yeah.
think that technology and artificial intelligence, there's going to be good things, there's going to be
And
bad things that come out
yeah.
of it. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a mixed bag. But I do
Yeah.
think as a result of what we're going to be doing with AI, I do think it's going to cause a lot of dismantling and changes with jobs. And a lot of people are starting to talk about that and what it
Yeah.
could look like.
Yeah.
But what I see in the energy with that is it feels like a lot of people are going to be going through an identity crisis. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's because so many things are going to be changing and changing
I think
fast.
it's
And
going
of
to be
course,
scary for people. Yeah.
yes. And then seeing headlines about war and bombs and things like that. So people are going to be really questioning, like, why did I even come here? Why am I alive? And even some
Yeah.
people saying, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yes.
And really hoping to get them anchored into their body and knowing
Mhm.
they chose to be here because this time is like no other we've ever
Yes.
seen.
Yes.
At least not in like the last few hundred years,
Yes.
in the world. And so, with that, we're going to see the dismantling. And then Spirit has called it the activation phase, which is what we're in right
Mm.
now.
Getting chills as you're saying that. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like we are going into ourselves now. We're being asked to activate our
Catalyst.
gifts
Yeah.
and to do the healing that we came here to do and to not outsource permission to other people, that
Yes.
we are really finding our sovereignty again and we're giving
Yeah.
ourselves permission again to be
That's right.
who we are and who we came here to be. So
Uh,
it could feel like whiplash over these next
yeah.
couple of years. But I do think we're going to see a lot around war, but it
Mm.
doesn't feel like it's fought in the same way. I do think we'll see, different bombs, explosions, things like that, like we have been seeing recently. We're going to see more of that. But I also get this sense that there's going to be a lot of cyber warfare. So it
Hmm.
feels like the way that this war is going to be fought feels more like attacking different countries in a different way. So instead of like sending the bomb in, it's more like
Money.
we're going to take down the power grid or we're going to
Yeah,
take down
yeah. That's I was feeling the same thing. I was feeling the
their.
same.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember a dream I had not too long ago, and it still sticks vividly in my mind where in the dream, I could see my phone and the screen of my phone went red and it said SOS. And
Oh,
the phones weren't working. And it was like this emergency signal, and all the technology went away. And it's strange because some of the visions I've seen, quite frankly, feel like we almost go back in time to simpler times,
okay. Yeah.
but but I still see the technology stuff there. So it's trying to make
Mhm.
sense of like how does this all work together? And it could be that the technology has always been there, the AI has
Yeah.
always been there.
Yeah.
um, but some people I think are going to opt to live off grid and create their own micro communities and not
Yeah.
be tied into these larger systems that are being
Yes.
renegotiated and rebuilt.
Yeah.
But what a time to be here. I think what year are we in? 26. I think by the time we get to early 2030s, most everything about our day-to-day life will be completely changed.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I've always seen like there's always been this kind of undercurrent of light and dark that we couldn't see. Now it's just playing out in front of us. So I think it just brought it to the surface. And I do believe that a lot of us that are healers and light workers and shifters are here at this particular juncture to give people hope when they feel they're hopeless. And I really think that's what my mission has felt like. And I know people that do what you do, we're all kind of called right now to join up and bring this out for people so they don't feel so lost. I think that's
Yeah, I
happening.
made a video last night, just as an example of this, because the video is it says we were lied to.
Mm,
And the video I made, it was just me talking about what I'm seeing and experiencing. And it's that we thought, many of us thought life was going to look a certain way.
hmm.
Or if we do X, Y, and Z, we'll be successful, we'll be
Yes,
stable,
yes,
we'll have
yes,
all the things we need to have. And
yes,
how now, just like you were saying, we're now seeing what's really happening, and we're
yes,
seeing what's happening behind all these different curtains.
yeah,
And it's like life is really being revealed to us now, and we're
yes.
seeing it in ways we hadn't seen it before.
Bring out the
But I
blinders.
think, yeah, and so many people feel alone and they feel like they're the only people thinking those thoughts. And
Hmm.
so many of us are, and we're all seeing it. So I think it's important that we speak up.
That's beautiful. So how can people reach you, Delisa? What's your it says spiritandspark.com. They can get you from that website?
Yeah, spiritandspark.com. My socials are on there, upcoming classes,
Perfect.
on demand classes, everything's
Perfect.
there.
Okay, good. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I love speaking to you, and I hope people reach out to you. And will also check out and subscribe to the show and learn more about my workshop sessions and books at rosemaryd.com. Thank you, Delisa.
Thank you, Rosemary.